these guys.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Anyways, I am super excited to be here today. I've been looking forward to this for 5 months.
Yeah.
When I first saw this product, it was introduced to me. I got a little canister of the beads, and I went home and put it in my top ramen that night. It was awesome. I mean, believe it or not. Got my kid to eat beets in top ramen.
So
Had all
I
the-
didn't go up there and look. Little cast, are they just
Oh,
like packets
these are
of
the little
beads?
packets. So this is the ones that you're gonna give away
Oh,
as a
cool.
bonus. So this is strawberry beets and kale here. But I got a little canister because I went down to Food for Health. Everybody knows who Food for Health is, right? Okay, they're the ones who bring you the eFoods line. So,
Which is all in my basement tucked away. I've got a 2-year supply.
so we all know that the quality is insane on this stuff. So I was really excited when they brought this new product to me and says, hey, we really want to bring this out to you guys. Been successful with the eFoods campaign. I've tried it in my home. I've actually, and I know all of you, has everybody gotten one of these? I think we have.
I wasn't around.
Oh.
Oh, okay, we'll get you
she's
yours.
a midnight person, so.
I'm excited for you guys to try this. That's why I gave it out a week early for you guys to try it. So when we get here in the training, that you'll know what this does for your body. I know Becky has had some incredible things.
They've all tried it.
Yes.
Did you try your stuff?
Yes, perfect. I know for me, I've 100% different. And I was sick when I got the product, and I think that's actually what took me out of being sick. And so the product's second to none. I want to introduce the founder of the product, the person who formulated the product, who brought this together, and he's going to give you his personal story today on why he did this. Frank Davis is here with us today. He's going to go through all of this with you today, and I'll turn the time over to him.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here. I love speaking about this product, so let me at least give you a little background, a little information as the genesis of this product, and then I'll tell you my whole pitch, and then you can ask questions, and hopefully I can answer any of them you got. Anyway, let's put it this way. You know, from my childhood on, I had every disease known to man. I had all the childhood diseases: pneumonia, chickenpox, mumps, measles, etc., and allergies. So I just struggled with health issues from day one. And when I got into, and I'm basically a wannabe athlete. I've always wanted, you know, I participate in everything, a master of none of them, but better than average of most of them. And, you know, in fact, just as a sidebar, you know, you can tell by my size and stature, I'm a basketball player. I went down this last year, I'm 68. I went to the World Masters Senior Basketball Championships in Florida in May. I'm looking at the roster, and they list where these guys played college ball, where they played professional ball. Probably, I would say 70% of the athletes in that venue were former pro players, ABA, NBA, European ball, etc. The team that won it was 100% black. They had a token white player, but you know, I'm looking at these guys that, you know, well, I didn't start on my high school basketball team, but in the 65 to 70-year-old bracket, you know, they all can shoot, they all know the game, but basically my strength, I'm quicker than anybody out there that I have come up against. Played in this, our team took third place. I was selected on the all-tournament team and the MVP of the bracket. And I thought, a 5'6.5" white guy out here with, you know, and I credit that to what I eat. There is nobody that I've come, you know, and so go backwards, coming forward in my having that desire to participate, etc. I was constantly dealing with health issues. In my 40s, I ended up, I'd had mononucleosis twice, I'd had hepatitis twice, and I had pneumonia twice. And in my mid-40s, I ended up with chronic fatigue syndrome, which for a type A personality like myself is a sentence worse than death. I mean, I literally couldn't go on a walk with my wife. We'd take a trip to St. George, lay a bed in the back of the Suburban. I had to lay down, she drove. She never drives when I'm with her. So, you know, that's really the time that I said, I have got to find a solution to this. This is driving me crazy. So, you know, I was open to try anything. And in Utah Valley, which most of you know, everybody has a solution. It's the king of network marketing, and product grows hair, melts fat, cures AIDS, you know, whatever it is, it does it. And
It's like Silicon Valley for
right, it's so I was willing to try everything. And then I would go to doctors, and they would prescribe me medication for depression. I said, I'm not depressed, I'm discouraged. I never did take it, but you know, everybody had an answer, but it just didn't resonate. And then I ended up going to a symposium that it was in Park City, and it was entitled Foods as a Medicine. And this was put on by a combination of several universities in the functional food department. And I remember it was the most impactful seminar that I've ever been to, because they were showing that there had been more research in the prior 5 years than the previous 200 years, linking every known illness, every known disease, every cancer to some form of dietary deficiencies. And it was just compelling. And I remember in one of the presentations, I raised my hand, this was a PhD from Champaign, Illinois, impressive presentation, well-documented clinical research. And I asked, well, isn't there a wide variance in the nutrient value of food depending on where it's grown, how long it's been on the shelf, whether you cook it or not? How do you know you're getting all these nutrients, the phytonutrients, the vitamins, the minerals in this food that you need? She says, well, yes, absolutely. I said, so wouldn't it make sense if you could get it in some type of a concentrated form that you could test and know that you're getting all of this stuff that you're talking about? And this was primarily to a college, to dietitians. And so she said, well, I'm a firm believer in whole food nutrition. Afterwards, I went back up. After the seminar was over, I went up to her and I said, I just kind of rephrased my question. And she says, oh, absolutely. If you could do it like that, where you could absolutely test it and know and get it into concentrated form, that would be ideal. But I don't think that exists. Anyway, that kind of set the stage for me of thought process. I said, I am not disciplined enough to eat all of the foods and fruits and vegetables and leafy greens and grains and whole foods that they're talking about, all the things it does. It just doesn't work. Not in today's environment society. We're fast-paced, quick, you know, got to take care of everything. So anyway, just a few months after that, and again, I'm still in my chronic fatigue stage. I'm functioning, but barely. So I end up meeting this individual that had a product that he called whole food supplementation. And it just was kind of an aha. It resonated with me. It said, this is what I was thinking about, getting whole foods and putting it into a concentrated form and knowing it had everything that you were supposed to have. And it was the precursor of this product. I got on it. In less than 30 days, I was over my chronic fatigue. I said, there's something to this. There's something to this nutrition and what I'm doing. Because I'd had it for 9 months up to that point. I ended up, they were out of Arizona. I ended up going back and forth with them. And I went down and did blood tests and would take the product and show the difference between the pre and post blood work from before I took it and afterwards, and what it did to your blood and all this stuff. Anyway, I was on this course, and I get a call from their sales manager. What had happened is, without going into the details, the owner of this company and the guy that I'd met with got in some real legal trouble, and his entire staff were leaving. And this guy says, you know, I know you're passionate about this. You need to come in and pick up the pieces. And so, come to find out that the lady behind the development of this was a lady named Michelle Baccarella. She was a registered dietitian. She has her master's degree in clinical nutrition. She's a consummate researcher. I connected with her. We put the pieces together. I pulled it, and she's been with me ever since. And my mandate to her, remember, this was not a business for me. This was personal. And I said, can this be improved? Yes, it can be improved. I said, throw away the checkbook. This is not about margin. This is not about spreads or whatever. I want the very best because this is what I want for me and I want for my family. And so my experience, and I'll just give you an ad lib here, that my experience in this industry is that it is all about margin. It's about story. It's about sizzle. It's not about efficacy. And so even this, as good as it was, okay, we have to cut here. We have to do this because we have to maintain certain profit margins and certain costs and et cetera. So that was my first mandate to Michelle, is throw away the checkbook. I only want the best. And we have taken that same approach from that day forward. If we find a new ingredient or anything that will enhance and improve, we put it in. I can tell you without exaggeration that every ingredient in here is the most expensive and best in its category. If we have, for example, if we have a sweetener in here, which is stevia. Stevia is a natural, it has certain benefits to it. We check where it comes from, how it's processed. Most stevia comes out of China, as processed in China, and they use a form of wood alcohol. That is toxic. It does cross the blood-brain barrier, and it can, cause problems in the future. We use a process that is purified water. It is more expensive, but you get a pure, unadulterated product.
Pardon me, but are you sourcing your stevia from South America?
Say that again.
Are you sourcing your stevia from South America?
Stevia does come from Brazil. Okay, but we use the only product that has this process because of the purity of the process and retaining the product. Anyway, so that's basically my story of how I got to where and what I started with Michelle. And for the first several years, for me to go out and get this produced, I would go to a co-packer. I would give them all the ingredients and co-pack it. I had to produce 100,000 capsules of each, just as a minimum. That's just the way it goes in co-packing. Well, I couldn't consume it, none of my family, so I was flushing stuff down the drain for years. But as long as I had what I wanted, and here is a fact. I don't remember from my childhood until I started on this product, I do not remember a single year that I did not have multiple colds. I felt like I was one of the, even in my 40s, the senior citizen that had to get a flu shot because you're very susceptible, and I still got the flus. I just had a very weakened immune system. Looking back, I'm looking at it and saying the reason I did is because I was raised on antibiotics, and it basically killed my immune system because it didn't allow it to do its job. And so that was really, but for the following 12 years after I started on this product, I did not have as much as a cold. Now, I've had a couple of minor colds since that time. One time when I was in Europe on a plane and forgot to take my stuff. stupid, but it was. But anyway, that's really, so I became a firm believer. You give your body what it needs, it will work miracles. If it can do it to me and to the situation I was in, it can do it to anybody. So let me now just give you kind of a overview of the landscape of why it's so critical today that we have something like this. Today, you know, in our modern farming techniques, the food that we are eating, even when we think we're doing good, is so devoid of essential nutrients. We are growing, you know, most of it's done on what we call now factory farms, industrialized farms. Abusive use of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, which leach the nutrients out of the soil in the first place. Genetically modified organisms. You cannot buy corn, you cannot buy soy, you can't buy papaya today unless it specifically says organic or non-GMO. I guarantee it is genetically modified. They have run tests in Europe using genetically modified corn. It grows cancerous cells on laboratory rats. It's death. You know, it's right now one of the #1 causes of cancer. So anyway, that is what we're dealing with today. The foods, the average fruit and vegetable in the United States travels 1,600 miles before it reaches your shelf. They are picked prematurely, they're artificially ripened. Many of them are irradiated so that they will stay on a shelf for an extended period of time without discoloring. But if you take a test of those fruits and vegetables for the nutrient value that they're supposed to have, they are extremely devoid. And so even when you're trying to eat well and do good, you are really missing the mark. So what happens? The society now, 70% of adults in America take supplementation. They said, I don't have time, I'm eating poorly, and now you know even when you're trying to eat well, it's not there, so they take supplements. The problem is the supplement industry is worse than the agriculture industry today, because it is controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. And I have in this PowerPoint, I'm going to just give you a little idea. Oops, that was good. I use this as a demonstration because how many of you take a multivitamin?
I don't know, yours.
Okay, before this. Okay, I'm going to show you, and I have names here. I got to pull this off. This is Nu Skin's NanoPak. Okay, so they sell. It is what's driven them over $100 million or over $1 billion in sales. Excuse me. Okay, this is the #1 selling product from GNC. Their Mega Man. This is the #1 selling prenatal vitamin. Okay. This is Cocoa Krispies. This is Diet Coke Plus. Okay. What I have done, I took the ingredient panels in each one of them.
Do you want me to take them?
Okay. Yeah, as I hand them. So I took the ingredient panels, if you want to hold that, and I highlighted vitamin C, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, Diet Coke Plus. Put vitamins in, it's got to be healthy, right? Same thing with Mega Man and with this prenatal, okay? And then ask the question, as I put these up, are these the same or are they different? If you read the ingredient, they are identical. B6 will almost without exception say pyridoxine hydrochloride. Tell me what plant that comes from.
Right.
Every vitamin in nature is a compound, it is a complex. It comes in a food, and in its own delivery system that allows the body to absorb it, utilize it, benefit from it. What the pharmaceuticals companies have done is to create a chemical synthetic isolate knockoff that's a mirror image that I can show you test after test. It actually does more damage than good, by far. So in this example, you have the vitamin C, the vitamin B, the vitamin E. In $100 and something network marketing company is exactly the same in a $3 box of Cocoa Krispies. I say, if that's what you want, get it out of here. It's the same thing in Diet Coke or in vitamin water or whatever you say. This one says all natural, you know? Well, what natural? Now,
So is there a reason they're making their own, because you cannot patent things that come from the ground?
that's
So
right.
they're making
You're
their own.
exactly right. You can't patent a fruit or vegetable. But the funny thing of it is they all use the same stuff. And then what they do is try, like Mega Man says, well, we have more of this toxin than they do, so it's got to be better. B6, this pyridoxine hydrochloride, I'll tell you what it is. It's petroleum esters blended with hydrochloric acids and processed with formaldehyde. You can Google it, you can Wikipedia it, that's exactly what it is. B12 will say on each one of these, whether it be Mega Man, New Skins, Cocoa Krispies, it'll say cyanocobalamin. Well, what the heck is that? Do you know what the cyano is? Take a guess.
Cyanide?
Cyanide. So I would ask you, as a rational thinking human being, how does a dead, toxic, carcinogenic chemical benefit a live organism like the body? Impossible. You can't do it. But that's what's in, you look in anything you've got in your pantry, your cold cereals, your breads, your cereals, your whatever it is, they fortify it with this stuff. I'm a vegetarian, but I stay away from this like the plague. Because you can, when you Wikipedia the B6, pyridoxine hydrochloride, there's a little section in there that will talk about the toxicity of taking it in a synthetic form. It attacks the nervous system. Well, if you're taking a Mega Man at 5,666% RDA, and you have it in your cereal in the morning, and you have it in your breads that you eat, and in your pastas that you eat, do you think we're getting OD'd on synthetic toxic chemicals? Absolutely. So that is why it's so critical. There's a quote that comes out of a doctor, Dr. Mike Hyman, that is a very famous doctor. He's the guy that got Bill Clinton to get skinny, and he's on Dr. Oz's. And he said something to the effect, if we could eat foods that were grown in fresh and nutrient-rich soils, and we breathed fresh air, and we drank clean water, and we did this, and da-da-da-da-da, everything in purity and cleanliness, said we wouldn't need supplementation. The only thing he forgot to add to that is, what kind of supplementation would you need? The same thing that you're missing. You know, organic, clean, fresh produce. So anyway, that is why it's so critical. Now, in my quest to find, you know, the best, I basically like the Wizard of Oz. I kept pulling back the curtain, and the more I pulled back the curtain, the more smoke and mirrors I found. The more I realized how this industry is so replete with the sizzle but no substance. And not all ingredients are created the same. If I'm saying this 9-A-Day or Complete are our flagship product, it's called Complete. Why? Because we designed this, myself and Michelle, the registered dietitian, to have everything in there the body needs to support a healthy immune system. It not only supports a healthy immune system, it supports every function of the body. That if you're deficient in what you're eating, you know, this is kind of the insurance policy that you're giving your body what it needs. You will notice a difference. You will notice a difference in a multitude of ways. It depends on your own personal condition. Some women notice it in their hair, in their nails. They notice it in their regularity. They notice it in not getting sick. They notice it. in energy.
How about crabbiness?
Huh? What's that?
Crabbiness.
Yeah. So,
Does that disappear too?
but, you know, and let me just address briefly why this is different than anything else. I went to, was looking at, because a lot of hype is coming out about, you know, now getting product that has fresh fruits and vegetables, whole foods in it. There's a network marketing company down in Provo that I happened to look at their product. They're promoting now a whole food supplement. It had, on a list, if you read this, it had 20 organic fruits and vegetables. Looks good. 20 organic fruits and vegetables. Now, again, from somebody who's pulling back the mirror or the curtain all the time and looking, I'm saying, where do those fruits and vegetables come from?
How do they get that in there?
Yeah, and well, the problem was there were 20, but it was a sum total of 20 milligrams. Now, unless you know what that means, that will fit on the tip of this pen, 20 milligrams. It is not even a dusting. Our 20 fruits and vegetables, there's 5,600 milligrams. You know, so it's one thing, as I said, where the smoke and mirrors come is on the label. Looks good, but there's not enough in there of any one of them to do any good whatsoever. You know, it's like smelling the apple, not biting into it. So that's one. The other is, again, where it's come from, how it's reduced to a powder. This is another of the pulling back the curtain. I was buying raw organic acai that was freeze-dried out of Brazil. I go to Brazil. I trace it from where the crops came to where it was dried, or where it, well, I found out that it was juiced, then it was pasteurized, then it was put into this drying process, and I always thought that freeze-drying was the Cadillac and that it retained all the nutrients. Well, what they do, it's like a 36-hour process, and at the last few hours, they heat it up to an extremely high heat to drop the temperature. They have a vacuum process, sucks out the flavor and the color, and then they try to put it back in after the fact. Not what I thought. And so then another one, I was using a source for our vitamin C is organic acerola cherry. I was using a source that provided just this organic acerola cherry, guaranteeing me that it had a 30% or 25% was whole food vitamin C. Again, as I'm talking about this, and I know I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit and not being real clear, but when I say all of our vitamins come from whole foods. So our vitamin C is just pure organic acerola cherry. Why? Because acerola cherry has the highest concentration of whole food vitamin C of any other fruit. 100 times more than an orange. But what scientists don't know is what are the other cofactors in that cherry that make that vitamin C work the way it does, and the body to really take benefit. Anyway, I'm buying this. I happen to run and do a test on it and find out that it had been spiked with ascorbic acid. So to call it a higher level of vitamin C. Now most people, if you look at any of your labels of any of this stuff, almost without exception, your vitamin C will say ascorbic acid. What is ascorbic acid? Again, that is a product produced in a laboratory combining high fructose corn syrup with hydrochloric acid. You can make it in your kitchen. Is that in nature, the compound, the complex vitamin C does have ascorbic acid, but it's the outer protective shell, just like an eggshell is to an egg. How does that benefit you? It doesn't. I can show you the fact that if you're taking vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid, which is not ascorbic acid, but due to the complicity between the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies are allowed to call it that, it actually creates genotoxins in your body and mutates the DNA. Laboratory tests, clinical tests showing that's fact. So anyway, I found out that they were spiking my pure, unadulterated. That's the type of things I've had to deal with. So what it really boiled down to, I've had to take my product and do everything from start to finish. I will not, I used to use a co-packer, and I would deliver the organic fruits and vegetables. Come to find out that he would do a test and he thought the microbials were a little high, he irradiated it. And I said, won't touch it. That's not me. That's not my product. So anyway, every corner I turned, people were playing games. So now what I do, I go contract with a 5th generation organic farmer. He produces the kale for me. He harvests it at peak. He treats his soil like his kids. It's 5th generation. It's for his pass on. He mulches, he rotates, he does everything to treat that soil and keep it pristine. That's what I do. Then I take it to a facility that I now am an owner in because I was so impressed with it. A new technology, and it's no different in reality than when the sun comes out in the morning and precipitates the dew off plants. This is a spectrum of light, slightly visible light that targets the water molecule and doesn't affect in any way, shape the delicate structure of the plant. And we can eliminate all the water, reduce it to a powder, and retain 100% of the nutrients, all the flavor, all the color. And I have, and it stays, because it creates a, and you'll notice this powder has kind of a crystalline look to it. It's a patent we put on it because it locks those nutrients in there in a, versus freeze drying, you get a porous crystal. This one is a flat, solid surface. And we have tested our carrot powder at room temperature after 8 years with 0 loss of any of the vitamins, any of the phytonutrients, any of the minerals. It basically, so one of the things we call our powders is fresh on demand. I will put this up against any fresh produce you can buy out of the store, and I'll guarantee you it will have more nutrition, more vitamins, more minerals because of where it's grown, how it's processed. When you pick any fruit or harvest any vegetable, the oxidation process starts within 6 hours. So the most optimal way you do it is you organically grow it in your own garden. You pick it, you eat it within a certain period of time, 6 hours. You're going to have some, but when you figure the average fruit and vegetable travels 1,600 miles, and who knows how long it's been in this process, then you cook it, you kill all the enzymes, you heat any food up past 118 degrees, you kill the life-giving force of that food, which is the enzymes. So what we've done here is been able to take it and retain all the nutrients, all of the enzymes. It is not subjected to high heat, and put it in a form that makes it convenient. So how many are going to go out and buy, 20 different varieties of fruits and vegetables and eat them every day? Ain't going to happen. But then the form you get it in. Our whole approach with today, Montel Williams is our spokesperson for this, and we have a campaign called Stealth Health. We've developed a cookbook and showing all the different ways you can get this into your kid's diet, like you did with your ramen noodles, 0 nutrition in that ramen noodles. Now you put some beet in there, and I did one I did a little explanation for somebody in a presentation, and they wrote me back and they said they had lifted their kid, the one kid would only eat pizza. So he was had some kind of condition, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, he would only eat pizza. So she would lift up the cheese and sprinkle beet, kale, and spinach powder in there, and he loved it. He had no idea. And then they get creative, and you make it in smoothies, and you put it in sauces, and even desserts. But a lot of different ways to do it. But the beauty about this product is it has everything in there. It has all the vitamins, minerals as they come from nature. When a plant absorbs minerals from the soil, it binds it to an amino acid called glycinate. And that basically converts it from an inorganic substance to an organic, where your body it goes right through the stomach walls into your bloodstream and right to where it needs to go. Whereas if you're taking women calcium in the form of any kind of a calcium citrate, calcium carbonate, calcium sulfate, it's calcium bound to a mineral salt, and your body has to go through this very complex process to try and break it down and get some of that calcium out of there. Where when it's an amino acid chelate, you would need a fraction of it. And the reason that they put such high levels, you need 1,000, 2,000 milligrams of calcium, is because it's the total weight of that calcium carbonate or calcium sulfate, and you only have a certain percentage of that is the elemental calcium. So you have to take a lot of it to get a little bit out. Whereas this, they'll look at it and say, oh, that's only 25% RDA of calcium. You're getting a heck of a lot more in the form you need it. Like the iron, it's so much safer because it's the way it comes in nature. And then we have all of this is vegetarian, it's vegan, which is not necessarily by design, but that's what it is, So the one thing we have, even essential fatty acids, which people take fish oil for. Well, this is a plant-based. It has the algae that fish eat that creates the omega-3 fatty acids. It has a potent blend of antioxidants. It has a very potent blend of plant digestive enzymes. So when you're taking this and you're eating a meal, those plant digestive enzymes help your body break down the proteins and the carbohydrates and the fat so your body can utilize it. So, again, it has all of the nutrients in there that your body really needs to support, sustain a healthy balance of everything. Do you still need to eat? You still need, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, but you can cheat with this, and it's just an absolutely amazing product. And I think the beauty about it is, I'm going to give you a couple of stories, and then I'll open this up to questions. Examples. We had a guy come in our office that did consulting for us. His consulting was on employee relationships. The guy weighed 435 pounds. He couldn't walk from here to that door without stopping and sitting at a desk. And we had him on contract for 3 months. And he would go visit, I have 2 plants here in Salt Lake and then 2 offices in Provo area. And he would go back and forth, and then he would come in to get a return report and tell us some things that he found and what he could suggest to us. In the process, he learns a little bit about what we're doing and our nutrition product. He asked to sit down with me, and he said, would you be willing to do a partial trade? He said, I'm only in my 40s. He said, I have young kids, and he says, I'm afraid I'm not going to be around when they are older. He said, I've contemplated lap band surgery, I've contemplated everything, I've tried everything, nothing works. And he said, do you think that if I get on your product, it would help me in terms of my even losing weight but healthy? I said, there's no question. You give your body real food, it's going to make a difference. The problem that people deal with as far as weight gain is that they're eating empty calories. And your body just basically says, nice try, didn't get anything out of it, keep it coming. And so there's no satiety that happens. When you nourish your body on a cellular level, you're not hungry. So anyway, I got him on this product and our organic rice protein. I said, if nothing else, take this and for 1 meal replacement. And I suggest, and this is what I do every single morning. I take this plus the protein, and I put some frozen berries and a half banana, and I'll either use just water, which tastes great, or I'll use a unsweetened organic soy milk. And anyway, I hadn't seen this gentleman for maybe 8 or so months. I went to this would happen to do with the Freedom Festival in Provo. I went to a meeting, and I was sitting, and then the moderator stands up and he said, I'd like, can't even remember his first name, to stand up. And he said, many of you won't recognize him as the shadows of the form himself. He had lost 130 pounds. So they asked him, he said, what did you do? And he turns there, and I was in the audience. He says, I credit, Frank Davis. Told me what to do, and he said, that's all I've done different. So we interviewed him afterwards. He said, I grew up in a plastic society. He said, it isn't that I'm a junk foodaholic. He said, but I never was satisfied. I always was hungry, always had to eat. And he said, just taking this and being on this diet, he said, it created that satisfaction, and he said, that's all I've done differently. I've tried. But when people start to lose, they become a little more conscientious. They start to look at food a little differently, start to exercise a little bit. But, he had, like I said, lost 130 pounds in close to a year. And he was on a campaign now. But the bottom line is, as you're, presenting this, I can tell you this without equivocation. I know everybody says we're the best, it's the only, that's just standard in the industry. But this is. I've done all the due diligence. I tried to find it, it didn't exist, so I had to create it. And then the more I went back and looked, as I say, behind the curtain, I realized, this was grown, this is not good stuff, it comes from China. I went at one time, and because there was all this bad press coming out about, tainted product coming out of China, they sent, quote, vitamin A to Europe before they put it into children's food. They tested it. It was toxic. It would have killed kids. They had it in dog food. They had, in fact, the vitamin C, when I say ascorbic acid, you can Google this. Well, if you Google Frank Davis China Free, I put on my product China Free. Put a little green. I was interviewed on World News Tonight because of it, but I wasn't trying to slam China. I was just saying, there's a big concern there, and I'm telling you, we do our due diligence. We know where this product comes from. Today, the number one thing in the food industry and the supplement industry, I just saw it, literally 2 weeks ago, is traceability and transparency. People want to know where it comes from, how it's been, what you've done to it. And that's what we're doing. We're basically saying, I know where this was grown, I know every step of the way, and basically I got my hand on it so that when it comes, it is as pure and it's better than what you're buying out of the grocery store. That I'm convinced of. So you can sell this with all the confidence in the world that we have done everything to ensure its integrity, its purity, and there's nothing else out there like it. I know that. I've seen them all. I've been there. I've tested them. When we take our raw materials, we'll test it to find the nutrient. Just in our kale, we tested it. It had 5 times the protein content because of where it was grown and it was called I can't remember the variety of kale, but it was
Lacinato or?
Lacinato kale. That's it.
The really super dark green one.
Yeah, it was, and that's what this is. But it had 5 times the protein content than the other kale competition that we tested. And we could go down the line. More vitamin A, more whatever. It just had it all. But anyway, that's really our strength. Yeah.
Now, is this supposed to be taken, these powders, with the meal? Does it
You can
matter
take it,
with or without?
primarily what you are promoting now is either the 9-a-day or the complete. They are in essence the same thing. One's in capsule form, one's in a powder form. A lot of people, elderly people, women, my wife for one, can't take capsules. Therefore, I did this primarily for my wife and my grandchildren. And there is no age limit on this. People will ask me, well, do you give your kids the same thing that you give your teenage boy, or the same thing that you take? Because they're so used to this mindset, this is a woman's formula, and this is a men's formula, and this is a children's formula, you got the gummy bears.
Marketing's done that.
And that's it. It's strictly marketing. I said, when you sit down at the dinner table, do you give your kids different food than you give you eat? They probably out-eat you. Well, this is food. That's the difference. You're over here, you're talking chemicals. You're talking drugs. And yes, like any other drugs, that vitamin B6, pyridoxine hydrochloride, that cyanocobalamin, that D-alpha tocopherol, that ascorbic acid, they all have side effects. So that's the difference. And that's why you have to moderate that, because it does have side effects.
Now, do they have to worry about it being kosher or not? Or
Basically, here's the beauty about our product. It's organic, it's kosher. We're a kosher certified facility. We're halal certified for Muslim consumption. It's vegetarian. There's nothing in there that would offend any dietary restrictions in any way, shape, or form, whether they be religious or any other way.
Going back to her question, she asked if it had to be taken with a meal. On the label, I remember it saying take with meals.
This
Yeah.
I would take with meals. And the reason, there's two reasons. One, it's easier for your body to do that, but two, because it has all these digestive enzymes, it's going to help your body digest the meat or whatever you're eating. Because it has all the whole complex of digestive enzymes, the protease, for protein, the amylase for carbohydrates, the lipase for fats. It has all of it.
So when you make a smoothie, it's simply helping you digest all the fruits in that smoothie.
That's it. But personally, like I said, this is my morning meal. I take that with the protein, with the berries and fruit, make a big smoothie, and I actually add some organic chia seed, and that's what my wife and I have every morning. And I would like to actually eat more because I'd like to gain a little weight, but it just fills me up too much, and it stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some ways to use the powder? Are we just using it in a smoothie in the morning and then that's all you need to use throughout the day? Or are you suggesting that we put it in throughout our meals throughout the day?
No, ideally on this one, and you could split it up. You could do a half of one in the morning and a half of one at noon. I wouldn't necessarily take it before you go to bed, because it is going to give you an energy boost. And I don't know if you want it before you go to bed.
I did one for dinner the other night and I was up till like 3 a.m.
Let me tell you why that happens. Besides the nutrients, there's a lot of things that contribute to giving your body energy. Nutrients is one of them. It has a potent blend of digestive enzymes. If you were to prick, and I've done this personally all the way back, prick your finger and put it under a scope, look at your blood, you will see that your red blood cells have a tendency to clump and coagulate. And you'll also see the free floaties of free radicals in there. You take this product, and I've done it, prick your blood 20 minutes later, and you will see that those red blood cells will be broken up and they'll be free flowing. Well, that's what delivers the oxygen through your body. When it's doing it more efficiently, it's a natural energy boost.
So no stimulant involved?
No,
just
absolutely zero.
higher
It is
oxygen.
it's just a higher oxygen delivery into your body because it's breaking up that clumping and sluggishness that's happening in your body, and it just, as your cells are moving from just like this to this, your body's feeling it and you're moving the same way.
So would you mind talking about, I saw on your website, my favorite product was the kale powder.
Sure.
So that's not up there, right? That's just one of the other.
You're gonna give it away, but yes, the kale is an incredible product. As I mentioned, I have a 5th generation organic farmer in Oregon in an extremely fertile valley that grows the kale for us. When this was harvested, within 3 hours, it was in our facility in the Dalles, Oregon, and was dried. I was on a show, on the Jim Baker show, the next day, and I had the powder. It was, in 24 hours earlier, it was in the field. And so the kale, you know, for athletes, both the beet and the kale are extremely high. In fact, our kale is higher than the beet. The beet has all the press on it of nitric oxide, which again increases your stamina, increases your blood flow, is a natural energy boost for athletes. You know, and they're claiming you're everywhere from 11 to 18% increased stamina. So this has a lot of press on it, but the kale is actually better. And you know, it's kind of the superfood, the domestic superfood that people are. It's getting a lot of press because they're doing a lot of studies on it.
So how do you take that? Sorry.
You know, a lot of people take it. They just add it in the smoothie.
You can sprinkle it on.
We have a recipe book. We have a recipe book, and we make a kale smoothie that is absolutely delicious. You know, I have this lady that helped. We put it in a vegetable burger. We've done all sorts of different applications of it. You'd be surprised how you can sneak it in stuff. And
Yeah.
And you guys all know me, it's like, I catch everything that comes along because I'm not in great health. But I have a greenhouse, I grow all my own vegetables and everything, and it's like I keep kale going all year round, and I eat it every day. And it's like, you notice, I'm sick for one day and then I'm better, you know, that's.
And that is something that, you know, actually my regimen is if I am exposed to, and you know, you just can't help being exposed to colds, flu, whatever. If I have the, I know my body, if I have the slightest inclination it's coming on, I'll start the double dose and never hits me. You know, just if your body is being under a little stress, I just give it a little more.
Yeah.
And it just fights it like you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
Real quickly, we talked about, and the reason I bring this up is because I put this in the scripting. We talked about the freeze-dry process and how that can take up to 36 hours and you lose all those nutrients in it at that time. The process that we're using for this product, it's within that 6 hours, right?
You know, it takes 5 minutes to dry. What freeze drying takes 36 hours.
And the turf was flat.
We, you know, what we do, we reduce this to like a slurry, like almost a paste, and it goes on a 100-foot belt where this infrared light comes in, and it comes in the slurry and comes out like a brittle fruit leather, and all we do is just mill it, you know, to a fine powder. But it does.
So that's why it has a crystalline structure.
Right.
I would imagine it mixes in water really well then.
It dissolves in water extremely well.
So there's no heat applied to it at all?
Or if it's not hot.
There's no, we test it, you know, because the real test of heat is whether your enzymes are retained intact. Enzymes will not withstand heat in excess of 118 degrees. That's why, you know, raw is better. And basically everything in here, you know, is raw, and we try to retain that. And that's why we have to be very selective, because you can't buy anything coming out of California. Has to be pasteurized. You know, we live in a society today that it's either nuked or cooked or pasteurized. They want to, you know, kill everything. So our bodies are. It was kind of like I was talking about my immune system was killed because of all the antibiotics I take. Well, our ability to deal with salmonella, if you take a raw carrot out of the ground, it is loaded with pathogens, believe it or not, you know, and but it's also loaded with all the antioxidants in there that kill that. And what happens is now we're being legislated to, anything we eat has to be killed. So all the food we have to eat is dead food, and pasteurized juices and everything else, and it basically is neutered as far as any of the nutrient value. That's why none of our stuff is liquid form. Once you put it in, it's water-soluble stuff dissipates. You're required anytime you juice something to pasteurize it. And pasteurizing is, killing all the enzymes and changing the molecular
And they have
structure of it.
preservatives in it to market it.
That's it. And so what happens? You buy orange juice because this is a good source of vitamin C, right? Well, look at it
So cool.
and see where the vitamin C comes. It's all put back in the form of ascorbic acid. It's not.
I challenge you to find a juice out there on the market that doesn't
Right.
have vitamin C in it,
Yeah.
or ascorbic acid.
I challenge you to find a juice out there, even the Naked or the Odwalla that doesn't have B6 or B12 in the form of those toxic chemicals I was telling you about. I was at a trade show and I walked up to Odwalla and I said, "Why do you do this? There's only two juices of yours that I can drink. One was your carrot juice and orange juice. It's the only ones you don't put all this crap in there." Well, the public demands it. I said, if I wanted it, I'd eat the Cocoa Krispies. It's cheaper. But that's the problem. But you know that Naked Juice, I don't know if it was sued and had to pay $9 million because they said all natural and they have these synthetics in there.
Well, what's really scary is I did a really long search for a couple of years to try to find some juices that didn't have ascorbic acid, frozen, bottled, whatever. It's actually in there and they don't put it on the label too. And I don't know how they get away with it, but they do it.
That one I don't know. But anyway, that's why, from a standpoint of a product, I'll stand here and say there is no other product on the planet that has the integrity of the nutrition value that this has, because of where it's grown, how it's processed, the amount we put in there, and that's why I know I'm getting more nutrients out of this than if I go buy, quote, fresh organic fruits and vegetables and try and eat it myself. And it's so much more convenient.
The first thing our caller is gonna ask us when we go into the main offer, what's the difference between the pills and the shake? There is a little bit difference in the shake.
There is a little bit different. There's a little more in here, but in essence, this has everything in there in terms of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, probiotics, digestive enzymes, essential fatty acids. It has it all. To put this, we've got a little bit of protein in there. You've got a little bit of fiber in there, and you got flavor in there. And that's and it's a little more expensive. But
So is that a capsule or?
this is capsule, and I can tell you that today, Michelle, the formula here, has been with me for 12 years. This is what she takes every day. I happen to take this because it's my breakfast. Yeah.
Hi Frank, how are you?
Good.
I've got a question that's a little off base, but it has to do with nutrition, and if I need to change doctors. But it makes sense. He actually is against vitamin C. He says if we feel a cold come on or something, he takes calcium. And he gave me a brand name called something process, standard process.
Standard.
And so he put me on a kind of calcium regimen instead of vitamin C, and he doesn't like vitamin C. Is there a reason that he doesn't like vitamin C, or?
Well, I don't like vitamin C, as I said, that you buy is ascorbic acid. It is not vitamin C.
Even oranges, he says.
Well,
He goes,
I don't buy that. Here's my take on colds or in protection. The new vitamin C, the new flu preventative is vitamin D.
D3,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I don't like D3 because it's synthesized from lamb's wool. I have study after study. We live above the 40th parallel. There are studies to show, and this is why it's tied into the cold and flu season, that if you laid outside in the raw from November through March, your body does not synthesize the sunlight into vitamin D. That is why they are now attributing the cold and flu season to a lack of vitamin D. And now vitamin D is tied into so many things, from obviously bone health, even weight loss, brain health. It is the thing that we are the most deficient in. The old standard way of thought is that the serum level of vitamin D we should have in our bodies is 20 hydroxy vitamin D serum level in our body. At that level, over 80% of the population was deficient. The new thinking is it's closer to 75, 80. So if we were 80% deficient at 20, where are we at 80? And there's a lot of studies going on. I take about a dozen different periodicals online of all the research that's going on in nutrition. Vitamin D controls it. It's every day there's new research showing what it is. Now, much like I was saying, I do not like any form of synthesized. I like it in a whole food form. Our vitamin D is pure organic mushroom, period. Nothing else is there. And if you want it for your kids and they don't like capsules, open that up and put it on in their food. It tastes great. It's just mushroom with a great flavor to it.
Can you open up the 90-day capsules and put it on the food?
You can. You know, it might have a little more flavor impact. But what I would do instead of that is put that with your kids. That, you know, I've got a picture of my, she is 5 right now, but when she was 2.5 years old, with one of these shakes, she spilled it on a table like this. And I've got a picture of her bending over, licking it off the table. You know, it is kid approved. It tastes good.
I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, both girls, and they absolutely love that. And I make it for them every morning. They love it. They'll remind me to make it for them.
Yeah, and you're going to find when you give your kids that type of nutrition that early, because what happens is all of this stuff is cumulative. I have learned that our bodies are absolutely miraculous. When I see what people eat and what they do to their bodies, how is this guy still functioning? You know, but you know, it gets a point that it just gives out. Most people, you know, when I was telling you I played in this Masters tournament in Florida, we had a little barbecue beforehand, and you know, we're all 65 to 70, you know, and these guys are standing there talking about all their ailments and all the medications they're taking. This woman who was hosting it, she says, at our age, there is nobody that is not taking, you know, on multiple medications. You know, I wasn't gonna, hello, I haven't taken as much as an aspirin in 15 years. You know, again, that's the problem. And then they take this, and then they got to take this to offset that, and take this to offset that. But it's, that's why I say when you're starting to get my age and the system started to shut down and finally said, I've given it my best fight, but you didn't give me any tools to work with. And so that's where we're seeing, you know, we're in the, you know, one of the most obviously industrialized nation in the world, but we are at the bottom of that in terms of health. We have the highest healthcare costs. We have the highest incidence of the Western diseases, diabetes, heart disease, cancers, etc. And it's escalating. And if these quote, if 70% of the population is taking supplementation, then
It's not bringing health.
not doing any good. It's actually contributing to the problem. So, you know.
Well, let's talk about how this how we relate this to the customer. In your opinion, you went down to Wendy's shop and Chris's shop and recorded the 30-minute radio. And in your opinion, what what kind of colors are we gonna attract? And, well, that's the first part, what kind of people are we gonna attract? A lot of people, because I think it answers a lot of questions, and it's gonna pique people's interest and say, I wanna learn more, or I've got this, and I've got this, will it do this and do this? What was it designed in your mind to attract, what kind of person to attract?
Well, let me answer it this way. I did a presentation, full-blown presentation, slides, everything, to a group of about 60 people. This is at the Jim Baker Show. And I would say the demographics of that, older, obese, unhealthy. At the end of that presentation, they went around, the workers, and every single person, including the employees, bought. They wanted it. So I think the message resonates so strongly with people to say, I want something real. I want it, and they have no clue. They have no clue that this stuff they've been taking is toxic chemicals. And when you kind of pull the curtain all the way back and show it and said, here's a solution, we're all dealing with health issues pretty well, most people. And so I think your respondents are primarily going to be obviously those that are very health conscious and are taking something already. And this is...
That's a good point, because we can ask them, well, what are you currently on right now? This would be a price objection, right? Well, that's expensive. Well, what are you currently taking right now? How much are you spending right now? Where you can replace all of that, right? Because we just found out that 70% of people are taking something, and the problem's getting worse anyway.
If they have it, you can say, do me a favor, just like I said on this, and you can keep these sheets and reproduce them and give them to everybody, but I said, just look on your label of the vitamin you're taking and tell me what it says on B6, pyridoxine hydrochloride. It'll always say that. And said, and then say, well, go into your pantry and look at your Cocoa Krispies, your Cocoa Puffs, or whatever. What does it say under B6? It'll say pyridoxine hydrochloride, without exception. Okay?
So it's not a matter like with the B5s, where some of them are cyanocobalamin and some of them are.
B12 is
It's not-
cyanocobalamin or
Oh.
methylcobalamin.
But it doesn't matter if it's the cyano or the methyl, they're all still from a laboratory.
They're all from a laboratory. That's exactly right.
So it's not a matter of mine's better than yours.
That's right.
Can you say that word one more time, so I can Google and get the correct?
Pyridoxine.
Pyro? P-Y-R-O? Yeah. Doxide.
Pyridoxine
How are you
hydrochloride.
selling it now?
What's that?
How do you sell your product? For the last, 12 years, how have you been?
Well, we really only launched off in earnest a year ago. I was selling it more. I go on like the Jim Baker Show, which is a televangelist, and he's got into health and nutrition. I brought doctors on, etc. And he's changed his life and his wife, and they're passionate about it. So we have a few thousand people on auto ship that get it that we supply there. Last year we launched off in the retail, so we're in every vitamin shop nationwide.
Oh,
We're in a bunch of Whole Foods.
talking about the store name, the vitamin
Store,
shop.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, and that's a push right now. So
So this is gonna be radio?
this is radio.
What's the call to action on it? Is it just talking about it, or is there actually a call in now and get something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard you say you were giving the kale free, is that part of
Tom has
Oh, I
the
probably
tables
Yeah.
downstairs. We have 3
What is
different
it, Tom?
offers.
Is it a call for your free sample or call now for your?
Yeah, you get the free samples, the free
Is that the CTA or is it the free supply?
It's a buy 3 get 1 free.
But what's the CTA?
That is
Buy for your free supply or for your free sample?
free supply.
Free supply. Okay.
So they're getting 3 samples and we're trying to sell.
No, they're getting 3 products and the 4th one is free. And then the little powders that you see there is a free gift.
Oh, it's just
So you introduce them to the other
So
product.
that's your urgency.
I'm gonna give you one other bit of information, because, in terms of cost. Most people, if they really go through and analyze what they're taking, you know, because I went to my sister-in-law's, and she can buy this, you know, family and friends rate, I'm gonna take care of her. But I go, and she and her husband have on their shelf, they had their multivitamin, they had fish oil, they had an antioxidant, they had, you know, calcium supplement, no, iron supplement, or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, if she had any idea, all of those are not a good form of it in the first place. This would cost half as much than the combination of everything she's doing. We did an exercise. Michelle went to Whole Foods, and she tried to find as close a replica of everything we had in here. So you'd have to have a whole food vitamin A, a whole food vitamin B, a whole food vitamin C, vitamin E, right down the line. A plant-based digestive enzymes, amino acid chelated calcium, iron, magnesium. If
You
you
mentioned probiotics too.
Yes, 11 strains of probiotics, the essential fatty acids. When she did that, and she bought them, okay? She bought everything, and in her own words, she said, nothing in there is as good as what we have here, but it was as close as she could find. That tally was over about $212. We have it on a sales slip. Then my son-in-law goes to the Whole Foods and buys all the organic fruits and vegetables that are in here in the serving size that we have, you know, that would be equivalent to get those serving size. That would come out to be $17 a day. So you take the 17 times 30, you take the 200, it was over $300 and something to try and get everything that we have in here. And so from a value standpoint, there is no question, it's extremely difficult to replicate what we've done, even come close.
What is your price point?
You know, this.
Retail $69.99.
And that's like a 2-week supply.
That is a 2-week supply. What you're selling will be a 30-day supply. We brought these in the 15 serves so you guys could try them, but they'll actually get a 30-day supply.
Is it a large container or just 2 of those?
It is a larger
container,
container, but not much. It's a little wider and a little taller.
So, you know, talking about if it were made for my younger children, I would probably give them half as much, or, you know, even a quarter as much. They don't need as much.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when I make a shake, I do 2 scoops and I do about half a blender. Is that too much for half a blender? I throw in like milk and bananas.
Yeah, I would only use 1 scoop.
Oh, okay.
One
No,
big
you're
scoop.
selling better ever since.
Unless, does this have is this already a 2 scoop?
The one you're getting is
Okay, this one does have a 2 scoop, but the one you're getting is 1 big scoop.
Yeah, so I would put
Selling?
2 scoops in a shake and I should only do 1.
If it,
And that's what I'll
whatever it
try.
calls, if this has a smaller scoop, it probably is a 2 scoop.
I think it does say to do 2
Yeah.
scoops per shake.
And then the big 30 one has a bigger scoop in
Oh,
it, and so it'll be a
You
single
also
scoop.
need to understand that making them in smoothies are great because they're super filling and it is a full-on meal replacement.
That's what it sounds
It
like.
really is.
It's part of your
And
groceries.
you will not be hungry until
Right.
lunchtime, guaranteed.
Right.
Now, I do it a little different. I just take it in 8 ounces of water. I take 2 scoops, 8 ounces of water, I shake it up, and I just pound it. But that's just my style. My wife, like Frank does it in the smoothie style.
When I'm
You can do
traveling, we have a
Either way.
shaker, which, I don't know if we're doing the shaker, but
No,
I
we
have
do
a,
the recipe book instead of doing the
I have a
recipe book.
shaker, and when I'm traveling, I just fill it with water, put the scoop in, shake it, and drink it. It's so easy, so
So it actually
convenient.
tastes pretty good that way.
And that's
Yeah.
It tastes
filling,
good.
that's filling with water for,
It's not as filling as the shake, but it'll keep me going.
Yeah, it'll keep me going till lunchtime. Easy.
That's, you know, it's 2:15, 20 after 2. That's all I had this morning. That's all I could take, was that shake. And, you know, I could eat, but I'm not that hungry yet. So, any other questions?
One of the things that Frank touched on that can be really, really powerful for you, I think, because he's trying to take this much information and put it into this nutshell for you. One of the things that you're gonna find that we've come up against is that we have a lot of elderly people that are obviously extremely excited. We have a ton of athletes. We've even are in talks with the U.S. Olympic team wanting to take this into their training regimens because they found at high altitudes, being able to, because of the amount of nitric oxide that's in here, being able to take that workout harder. But one of the things you'll find is they've done studies on elderly people that have passed away where they've done autopsies and half their guts filled with central silver because it hasn't been broken down because it's synthetic. And because it's synthetic, there's no DNA strand. The body does not know what to do with it. It recognized our product's 100% organic with the full DNA strand. The body knows exactly what to do with it, how to take it, how to process it to benefit the body.
That's a great way to say that.
That's
The
it.
whole DNA strand.
It's a
It's
great
not
way
fragments
to
or
help
portions.
people understand how that this could really be that powerful. It's a great selling tool, you know, for when you're on the phones with the people.
You know, that's the point, you know, when you talk about athletes, as I said, I'm a wannabe athlete, still am. Played 2 hours of racquetball this morning. But I used to be under the impression you couldn't exercise too much until, you know, this Ken Cooper with aerobics, they came out, and that was his philosophy. Then you had these milers dying off, and, you know, these marathoners and stuff. Actually, intense exercise creates as much free radical activity in your body as cancer. And if you're not providing the nutrients for your body to counterbalance that, it will take its toll and you will do more damage. So it's good to exercise, it's important, but it's more important. You know, I became so much more of a believer is nutrition is 10 times more important than exercise. And but with athletes, it will, you know, especially these high performance athletes, they have no idea how much they need this.
You have left me a little frustrated about stevia. Because I know most of it comes out of China, but I didn't know they were doing that thing you said. I know California is looking into growing it because the consumption is way high.
The only stevia that I would buy is called sweet leaf stevia.
Sweet leaf? Okay,
Sweet
that's what I
leaf,
get.
it is processed with purified water. All the rest of them are processed with this wood alcohol because it's cheaper.
Oh, yeah, Pepsi and Coke will have their own version of stevia now.
They come in little packets, so you don't have to worry about commercial.
You know, one of the cool things is Frank truly is a pioneer in this industry and how they process food, because with this new technology that he's helped develop, we are literally taking food, like he's mentioned earlier, straight from the farm, straight to the processing, all within hours. When they ship food here from South America, wherever, it travels 1,600 miles. By the time it gets here, 50% of it's spoiled because it's been sitting on top of each other on a train line somewhere. With this new technology that he has helped develop, we're literally keeping 100% of the nutrients value that's in that. An orange today that you eat off the shelf, you have to eat 7 oranges to get the same amount of vitamin C that you used to get out of 1 orange 40 years ago.
Well, spinach is even worse. It's like
Yeah,
20
spinach is
pounds
the same
versus
thing.
1 pound.
So with this technology that Frank has helped develop, I mean, it has literally changed the industry on how we can take these foods, put them into these powder forms and into these complete products, and guarantee 100% of the nutrient value. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. We live in a society that, as I said, is fast paced. People don't have the time. They don't cook anymore. They grow their own gardens or do things like that. And so, you know, this is our motto is whole food simplified. You know, you can get, this is the easiest way because it's got all of them in there. You know, we're selective. Michelle's picking those fruits and vegetables go in this that have that she would want to have her kids eat every day. These are, you know, we have all the individual ones. The newest one is he's talking about that we're just launching now is an organic coconut water that we actually harvest in Thailand. It is cut open, goes immediately into a minus 20 degrees centigrade. It's cold concentrated, bricked, and shipped up to our facility. And then we thaw it, dry it, and voila. You know, it's fresher than any of them you'll ever see.
Where do you get your strawberries from?
Strawberries, most of all of our berries come out of Oregon.
So it'd be
The-
very big
you-
bag plus.
Most of the stuff that we process is literally within a 50-mile radius of our facility, 50 to 100-mile radius. And Oregon in that valley, you know, is one of the number one or number two in almost, you know,
In the world, you're
in the
talking about
world, yeah.
Willamette Valley, right?
Yep.
Like,
So is all coconut water oil equal?
What's that?
Is all coconut water?
Absolutely not. What's gonna separate ours from every other coconut water, and I should have brought some for you to taste, it tastes incredible. I've been on an organic coconut farm in Brazil, have cut it open, drank on the spot, and it tastes fine, but I can only drink so much of it. This tastes incredible. And if you put it in a pixie stick, your kid think you're giving them
Seriously, it's that
candy. It tastes that good.
So you don't know where Costco gets theirs, do you?
Well, the problem is if you, if you trace it back and you see when anything that's bottled and transported, what they go through, what they add to it, you know, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
So,
So your media is going to be primarily radio, but you mentioned Montel Williams. Was he going to be part of your radio promotions or?
he might, but not on this
He's not
one.
on this one, but he was here this last week, meeting with Frank here this last week, and we are planning on being able to use him. in the
He's
future.
passionate about it. I mean, he just, here's a guy, almost like my story, 15 years ago was diagnosed with MS, told in 2 years he would be in a wheelchair. We went snowboarding this year here at Park City. I can't keep up with him. And I was on skis. He averaged, he has a little beater, he averaged 42 miles an hour going down the hill. And he gets off the lift and he's nonstop. Now, you take somebody that was diagnosed, he's had some issues with MS, but he, for all intents and purposes, controlled it better, and it's all nutrition.
And he is religious about eating on, he's every one of these products, he takes every
Yeah, he
single.
says
He makes a shake every single day that has about half a dozen of these in there, you know, and he carries them with him everywhere he
Well, the
goes.
biggest reason I ask is I expect to see him on TV when you mention his name. Because he's promoted so many other things that have helped us out.
Well, you know, he's very good. He's one of the most articulate guys I've ever met, and we're going to be on NBC Shop HQ in January. He's going to do that, I know, and we'll probably do, what he's going to do is some like a mini infomercial on this. He's the guy that launched off coconut water on QVC about 7 years ago, before it was ever known by anybody. And he's really excited about our coconut water.
It's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you, Frank. To kind of speak to that point, I've met Montel before. When I was in the bodybuilding circuit for a while, I actually worked out with him quite a bit when he would come into Salt Lake. Great guy. We decided not to use him because celebrities don't necessarily make the phones ring. To be honest with you, we've had some products on our phones where there were some huge celebrities that were on there and the phones didn't ring. So it was just easier obviously to have Frank on there. He's a little bit more passionate than anybody else that we can have. And if you haven't heard the creative yet, it's a long form radio ad. It's probably, and I've told John this before, it's probably one of the best I've heard. of all of our products to the point. No, but I'll get it up there today.
Long form means 2 minutes long?
30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Okay.
And to that
That's
point, this is one of those ones where usually I'm listening and I kind of get off and I'm doing my thing and I go back and I was like, oh crap, it's over. And I go back again and start listening. This is one that at 25 minutes I was still hanging on this thing.
Compelling.
Yeah, it's really, really good,
Plus
really
your
good.
caller has time invested already, they're not just
Oh,
getting
yeah.
price pickers.
So, okay, so that is curious, the 30-minute radio ad. Like,
Well, I hear them on the weekends a lot for other products.
Sure.
Yeah.
People that are driving and.
oh, driving.
Uh-huh. So I looked at the media schedule really quick. It's like KSL News. It'll be on KSL News. It'll be on some of the health channels, different things where people are listening for that kind of stuff. So I've got the media schedules. I've given them to Becky and to Jared. The calls start Saturday and Sunday. So that's kind of our launch where we're going to go from there. We're going to test for a couple weeks, see how the phones do, and then we'll be able to ramp the program up from there.
So there's probably no midnight ads, right?
If I remember correctly, I think they started at 5 a.m. just to start.
Yeah.
Just to start, and then we'll ramp from there.
When do the calls
In
start?
this room, we have 4 people
Saturday.
that haven't tried it, just. these
Yes, please come
yeah.
grab one of these.
Oh, yeah, good.
So have we got more in your office?
Yes.
Okay. I'll
Are
make
they
sure you
going
have that one.
nationwide, so we'll get
Yes.
callers all across
Yes.
the United States? Okay,
Yeah.
so different time zones with that as well.
Oh, so yeah, so I might get some.
Yeah, you might. Yeah. Anyways, glad you're all here. When John brought this to me 5 months ago, I got super pumped about this. Obviously, I was into nutrition for a while and would have loved to have had this because I was that guy that was eating 8 meals a day and drinking every nasty protein shake there was to man. It would have been awesome to have something as simple and as easy as this, just to get your nutrition just like that. Like I said, I kind of got the same. I actually started, I think, the sickness that has gone through this company.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet.
Luckily,
And not 30
John
minutes.
gave me some of this stuff and I took it and it cleared it up really quickly.
Oh, yeah, me too, because I got it.
Yeah.
Another day.
Yeah,
one day.
another day after I did it. So it's incredible stuff. What he's saying is true. It got me really excited about it. I've got my family taking it religiously as well. Again, I'm excited about this. Let's kill this.
Thank you.
One sidebar is
Yeah.
that when we did the recording, it was in BYU studio when the what do they call it, company, Wendy and
Knockout.
Knockout. And the technician behind there, after we got through, came out and said, how do I get this?
Yeah. When John showed it to me, I'm like, whoa, how do I get this?
So I thought, and he was probably a guy in his early 60s
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I think it's going to resonate with your callers really, really well. And again, you guys are smart enough. You've already come up with some great ways that you can talk to these people. Had some great questions, and I appreciate it. Thank you.